Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. One of my favorite games in the world is Space Base. This is Space Base, the command station, the big box version. I love Space Base. And today we're talking about the third expansion for it, Space Base Genesis. The third expansion. Anyway, this is an expansion for Space Base. The last two expansions, the Search for Shy Pluto and whatever the second one was called, were kind of like modular expansions where they added things. They added some cool cards, they added some interesting ideas, and you kind of played through a little campaign, like very brief campaign to get them. Although you could have just opened everything up and used it too. And I like them. But this one kind of ignores the other expansions and is just more stuff. That's really all it is. Some decks of cards. Let me show you what's in it and we'll be right back. In this expansion, you get a deck of 1, 2, and 3 cards, and you'll shuffle them into the respective decks. That's all you need to do. There's also 36 colony cards, but we'll talk about those in a bit. So I'm just going to show you some of the cards. So here in level 1, we'll take a look. We got some of the basic cards. These are kind of cards that you might expect to see. Some nice things. I like that one. That is some more unusual. I like this one here. You get 2 charges. You get an income. That's nice. This turn, I can keep all the money I don't spend. That's a great one. That's one of my favorite cards. Or gain a blue rewards for any 2 of your sectors, 1 to 6. There's also some immediate rewards. These are yellow cards here. So when you play these, you're going to get that stuff immediately. This gives you 4 money. This gives you immediately an income and a point. And then it doesn't work again. So you want to try to get those deployed as fast as you can to use the red sides of those cards. But still, it's a neat thing. You can get it right away. And this comes after you spent your money. Now the level 2 cards, these have some of my favorite thing in the game, these diagonal arrows. Diagonal arrows are fantastic. So this arrow here, for example, in the 9, this is in the 5 slot. It's going to point at the red, the deployed cards, in the 6 slot. So I'll get 1 point, anything that's deployed in the 6 slot. And then once it's up, deployed itself in that slot, it's now going to be pointing to the same thing, to 6, but now it's going to give me the blue reward of the 6. So you can get these diagonal cards. This one can go diagonal either way. It's really neat stuff. You also see this symbol here, which is roll a pair of dice. Only you get what's on them, and it's just your blue rewards, but still could be handy. Here I can do it twice with some charges. Here I can buy a colony card for half the cost rounded up. And there's more of these immediate cards also in the yellows. This one gives you 8 at the end of the turn. And this lets you put a charge in all your cards with an open charge square. Of course, it's an 11, so it's going to be hard to do. And then the 3s are where things just get crazy. Look at this one. Get 2 points for each charge currently on your cards. Get an income for each sector with at least 1 deployed card. That's a little more normal. But you'll notice the 1 plus there means you can deploy it on any sector you want. Here, I get 15 points if I get all 4 charges. That's pretty good. And it's on a 5, so not too hard. This one here, let's see, it gives you a point for each charge currently in this and adjacent sectors. This one lets me put a charge anywhere. Here's another one that just gives me a point and 2 cards. So you can see some of the cool stuff in here. And there's also yellow cards. Look at the top 2 cards from the level 2 deck. I can claim each card or put any back. Claim blue rewards for any 3 of your sectors. Gain the red rewards for any 2 of your sectors. This one is crazy. It lets you deploy all your ships from 7 to 12, which means they won't be there for you, but who cares? Because you can use them on other people's turns. Move a deployed card into 7, 8, 9. Roll the dice 4 different times. So this is the card. So now let's talk about colonies. So this has an entire set or 3 sets of alternative colony cards that give you a reward when you play them. Like for example, this one gives you 2 points, and until the end of your next turn when you would get income, you get twice that much instead. Or this one in turn order, all players place 1 charge if possible on any empty charge square of the player to their left. And here, this gives you 11 points, or before you place this card on your board, you get all your red and blue rewards. Now, just like regular colonies, when they go into a spot, they stop that spot forever. But this is a lot. So what the game does is you simply draw 6 of these at the beginning of the game, and then the other 6 colonies will just be the normal ones. So you'll draw 6. But there's some really crazy stuff in here, like this one here. 8 points, or it gives you 60 coins. This one, it gives me 5 points, and I can roll the dice twice until the end of my next turn. Whenever I would get points, except for points from colonies, I get twice that many points. 9 points or 8 income. Huh. I mean, I would like the 9 points, but 8 income, man, can you imagine trying to save and get that one pretty quickly? It's going to change how the game works. And there's a couple with red text on them. These can be claimed alternatively. So if you have one deployed card in every sector, or if you have 9 charges on all your cards, or if your income is 14, or if you have a sector with 7 deployed cards, you can claim these instead of paying the money at the top. And then finally, and this is news I'm sure some of you will care about, there's another You Win card. This one cost 150 coins, which is really kind of crazy if you think about it, that you have to get that much money. You get this, and you win. It supersedes everything else. Anyway, that's what's in this expansion. Now, you got to take my review for this with a grain of salt because I love Space Base and I love this expansion. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. This is exactly what I wanted in Space Base. I just want more cards. There's nothing in here I don't like. I like all the cards. I love the diagonal arrows. I love that this puts the slightest, to me, increase on income to some degree because there wasn't as many cards in the original set for income, so having some more is nice. Those one-time use cards are neat. I played that one in a game where I deployed cards 7 through 12, which an initial blush, you're like, that didn't really do anything. And now if I roll a 7, nothing works. But it was so good because my opponents almost always roll a 7 through 12. I mean, well, at least half the time, right? So those reds are going to happen all the time. And if I roll 7 through 12, I'll just take the 2 numbers and use the blue rewards in the bottom. So it really felt like a win-win. Speaking of win, let's talk about that You Win card. That I haven't pulled off. Actually, I don't even know if that's shown up in a game I played yet. If it did, I'd have to really think about it because you would have to save money for a really long time. I mean, in this game, there are ways and there are cards and there are combos where you can get 20 coins a turn, but that would still take 8 of your turns of having an amazing turns. So I think this You Win card is much more difficult than the other one. You have to get a ton of money. Everyone's going to see it coming from a mile away because obviously you're doing that. You might do something. I mean, you saw that one card that you could buy that con, it gives you 60, but then that still is only getting you there a bit of the way. And you could just save money every turn, but it's not. It's such an interesting card to me. I like You Win cards or alternative things. I don't think this one will happen very often. And if someone does have it happen, let us know in the comments below. But I like the different colonies and the different things that they bring because colonies are, in the original game, they're kind of a last resort. You're like, I'll buy a colony. But if they give you another thing that you can do, so if I get a colony that says, here, I can swap all the cards, my 11 and 2 sectors and in my 12 and 1 sector, that's a pretty cool thing. That costs 28 coins, but I might do that early in the game. Yes, it will clog up my 8 slot, but now that awesome card that I had in 12 is now in 1. That's the sort of thing that makes these interesting. And by having them only replace 6 of the base 12 colonies, it keeps it from becoming way too crazy. So there's still 6 normal colonies out there. You could play this with people who've never played before. If you're teaching Space Base, you could throw this in. You might not play with the extra colonies, but everything else you can put in. It's pretty easy. So I just love it. I think it's fantastic. It's going right into my game, and I'm going to keep playing it. So lots of fun for me. Space Base Genesis, it's great.